Welcome to How to Decorate from Ballard Designs, a weekly podcast all about the trials and triumphs of decorating and redecorating your home. I'm Caroline, I'm on the marketing team.
And I'm Taryn, and I'm a product designer.
I'm Liz, I head up the creative team.
We're your hosts. Join the expert team at Ballard Designs for tips, tricks, and tales from interior designers, stylists, and other talents in the design world.
Plus, we'll answer your decorating dilemmas at the end of each episode.
We love answering your questions, so don't forget to email us at podcast@ballarddesigns.net.
Now, on with the show.
Today, we're joined by a designer who perfectly embodies American laid-back, high-style design. As a fifth-generation Californian, his work is infused with sunny colors, natural textures, and bold, fun touches. He's a top interior designer, a lifestyle and entertaining expert, and you've likely seen him on the Today Show or in the pages of Architectural Digest and House Beautiful. He's already shared his passion for design in two of his best-selling books, American Style and I Love California. But today, he's here to talk about his highly anticipated third book, I Love Decorating, creating stylish, thoughtful, and personal spaces. It takes us behind the scenes of his creative process, blending English bohemian influences with global inspiration. Please welcome to the show, Nathan Turner.
Thank you. What a nice intro. Gosh.
Nathan, it is so exciting having you here, and this book is really fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Let's kind of start about your inspiration and your start into the world of interior design.
Oh my gosh. It kind of happened by accident, you guys. It was it's one thing that I always tell people starting out in any career, young people especially, to be open to opportunities and open to experiences, and don't ever close yourself off because you never know where it may lead. And it's kind of what happened to me. I grew up in Northern California, and I went to college and studied business and economics, which was a crushing bore. I wanted to throw myself off the Bay Bridge because I have very conservative, practical parents. And they said, you can't go to college and get a degree in basket weaving, which that was always their thing. And I was like, you think you're funny, but I'd actually love that as a degree. I think I would have excelled at basket weaving. But I did that and I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I didn't even have an argument of well, I really feel strongly about this. So I did it. And I got actually a double major, which was weird because when I realized how close I was to getting a degree in economics as well as business, I was like, oh, I'll just do that because I'm so close. So it was super boring. And to combat the boredom, I had learned about an international program that you kind of did an international business degree. And so I understood that you had to go abroad, and I was like, "Ooh, that sounds great." So I went to Italy, and I had already been studying Italian, and my Italian was pretty good, and went to the University of Siena, and I'll take you back. I had done an exchange program in high school in Parma, Italy. So I was already in my Italian era and loving it. And so this all made sense. And I did that and I loved it. And it was really fun and satisfying. And I was doing on-campus interviews in Italy. And I remember getting a job offer from Piaggio, the scooter company. And I was telling my parents, and they're like, you have to come home. You realize that, right? And I was like, no. I already have I see my Italian life. I'm not coming home. I'm staying here. So I came home because I had a year left of school. And when I left college, I still had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was doing, they had recruitment interviews come to campus. And I remember interviewing with Deloitte and Touche and Chevron and getting high up in the interviews because I was a good interviewer. I was great in the room.
Obviously.
And people, yeah, questionable, but I don't know how I got through that stuff. And I remember just being I don't want to do any of this. This all sounds really not the right fit for me. And I moved to Southern California with no idea what I wanted to do. I just finished, and I I moved down to Southern California, and my parents had a beach house in Laguna Beach. We kind of grew up going there. And so, much to my parents' dismay, I moved into their beach house, and which was a great life at 22 years old. But through my mother, I met an antique dealer in San Juan Capistrano, and he was doing a buying trip, and I spoke Italian. So he said, "Oh, you could come be my assistant." And so we did the Parma Fair and then all the fairs in Europe and all the things. And I was like, wait a second, this is a job. You
That's
go to
amazing.
Europe and like go to France and England and Belgium and Italy and buy old crap and bring it back and sell it. And like, I'm like, sign
Mhm.
me up. This is fantastic. And so I worked for him for several years, and then probably prematurely decided to open up my own shop in Los Angeles. And I say that just because I had the aesthetic chops. Like I really had developed my eye and had an understanding of buying and putting things together. But you know, probably could have had a little bit more practical experience. I joke that I opened my store in September, and by January I had no money. I had spent it on, I had overspent on inventory and was like, oh
You're
God,
sleeping
yeah.
in the store now? Like
Rent, rent and other expenses. I forgot about those. I would get overzealous on buying trips. But I figured it out. And my original shop was this really charming little house, and it had a fireplace and it had a little kitchen, which I like reinstalled the kitchen, and I started cooking and doing dinners and lunches, and it garnered a lot of attention at the time. And back when we had a home section at the LA Times, shortly after, it was this big giant cover story in the home section. And this guy's cooking and having like dinners in his shop, and it was so funny because LA is so LA, and I would get calls and say like, "I'd like to book a table for two." And I'm like, I would be, "Oh no, it's not like that." And then if you tell people no,
Oh.
they're like, all of a sudden the assistant calls back and they're like, "I'm calling from so and so's office, and I would like to." And I was like, "Girl, it's not like that. Like, I'm not like trying to be coy or exclusive. It's just like a shop. Like, you just come in and shop, and we'll be friends, and I'll invite you." So that was really funny. And the events went from like literally like my very first thing was like a dinner for like 6 decorators. It went from that to like I'm tenting the whole inside of the shop in white gauze and putting a table down on the floor and doing like a Turkish dinner, like all these big fun events. And so the shop was really where everything started for me. My obviously my antique dealing career, my whole entertaining thing, and then I really think because the shop was a home and I kind of set it up that way, that it really gave people a sense of like my aesthetic. And so that's when people started like asking me, "Oh, I'd love to hire you to do my house." And I'm like, okay. And I had done my own and like, helped friends. But again, going back to what I said earlier, I'm an adventurous, yes kind of person. So even though I was maybe a little nervous or like, I don't know how to really do this, but like, I'll figure it out. And that's how I started decorating. So it all kind of just like fell into each other. And it sounds like much more simple than that because it came with a ton of hard work. But yeah, it wasn't something, I didn't go to design school. I never had the practical experience of working for like a big design firm, which, I feel two ways about it. Sometimes I'm really envious, like to have missed out on that like experience of what it's like to just have gone into this knowing how to like run a big job, interface with clients, billing, all that stuff. But then the other, like I try to think on the positive is like, sometimes it's really hard to get out from underneath the shadow of working from somebody. And so I just was like me. I just always did my own thing. So whether it's good or bad, I had to figure it out.
Well, I think it's
Yeah,
worked
just
out for you.
maybe.
Following your instincts has
Third
really
book,
worked out.
maybe.
Um, and this book in particular, you're showcasing projects that you've worked on all over the globe.
Yes,
So
it's really
I think
crazy
I
to
think
work
this
all
has
over
worked
the
out for
globe.
you.
Yeah. That part is really something that wasn't, on my bingo card to be working in like uh, all over Asia. I work a lot in Asia. I recently finished a giant job in Sydney, um, the islands. Like it's really fun and interesting and exciting and really challenging at times, like customs and containers and you know all that stuff that comes with it.
All the logistics.
Yeah.
But okay, so you've worked on all of these projects that are all over the globe. I've got to say, not one of them looks the same. You have a really incredible way of dialing into who's living in these spaces and where they're located. Can you talk just a little bit about how you're able to get to know your clients and the location so well?
That's a great point because it's something that I learned early on in the decorating part of my career, that this process is not about me per se. You know what I mean? It's like my job is to take the home and the people that are going to be living in the home and give them the best version and use my skill set to do that. So, um, I have a look like this is my office and I love because I started in antiques, I love collecting, I love things, minimalist. I am not, personally. Um, and so when I get a job that the client has that same kind of taste or aesthetic or likes that kind of collected look, I'm really excited because it's very easy for me to lean into. But again, like you're not going to see like open the book and see everything kind of has the same vibe to it because of that. So I'm not going to do this in Singapore where it's like the first time I ever went to Singapore to meet a client, it was smoldering, like humid and hot and I was planning my next site visit and everything. And I said, well, when does it cool down? And thinking that's when I'll come back. And my client started laughing. She's like, it doesn't. We're basically on the equator. It doesn't. This is it. This is what it's like all the time. So because of that, like I'm never going to do you know, like the New York apartment in my book with like upholstered walls and velvet sofas and deep colors. Everything needs to feel light in a place like Singapore, but it's also incredibly sophisticated. I mean, it's one of the banking centers of the world, and it's such a international hub that the people, my clients included, are like wildly sophisticated, interesting people. So it's a funny line of being colorful and relaxed, but at a certain level. So this is what I'm thinking about constantly when I'm working on projects in different places.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the Singapore spaces because there are two of them that you did. And am I right in that they're the same client?
Same client. And I've done probably 10 projects for this client. And it's actually it's really fun when you get to be super you have a shorthand with clients and this happened with us, and I've worked with multiple members of this family and I've done their offices and vacation homes, and so yeah, the main apartment is and I feel like a lot of my Singapore clients, nobody lives there full time. It's kind of an in and out kind of situation. There's a bigger apartment and then there's a small apartment, which was really fun to do because it's like her office slash closet. So we converted most of the bedrooms into like rolling racks of like one of the most incredible, I'm like, who am I kidding? One of the most impressive wardrobe I've ever seen in my life. Um, and so that's
It
fun. It's
really
like fun
is.
to do like different, take spaces and transform them into very specific uses for specific people that like maybe isn't the norm.
Yeah, I just thought that one was so fun because the the main living the main apartment condo space, I I don't know, penthouse, I mean, it's
Yeah.
incredible, like, I mean, it is so incredible, and I love how you took the fact that you are on the equator and it's warm and amazing all the time or hot all the time, and you put the dining room out on the balcony.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You
That also because, in a place like Singapore, space is limited, and like this is a really large apartment, especially for that city. But there is a table inside, but like we put the big table outside, which not a lot of space, not a lot of like penthouse apartments have these outdoor spaces and have that much room. So it's like we're going to utilize this, and I could see them using it for dinners and such more than, like, going out there and lounging, like, on a sofa. So because I feel like they're gonna use it more at night anyway when it does, like, cool down. Yeah, so that was, always looking to maximize spaces no matter where I am, you know?
Yeah. And then I found it so fun to, like, see the other side of the personality in the other space. But one thing that I really love about this book is that at the end of every project, you walk us through the highs and the lows of every project that you've worked on, but then you give us your favorite places to visit. And so the book becomes interior design plus fantastic stories, plus a bit of a travelogue of your favorite spots in the cities. Um, what brought that about?
Well, it's very similar format to I Love California, my last book, where I focused on different parts of the state, and then I didn't give the behind the scenes, but I would always give my favorite things in said city. But when we started laying this out, um, we knew we wanted to kind of try and mimic that format a little bit, but it really came from the fact of, like, I thought I wanted to make it a little bit diary-like and share my experiences because I do think it's a little unique to work in a place like Jakarta, Indonesia, or go down to Turks and Caicos, or, it wasn't like I'm an LA-based designer and most of my work's in California, So I've had so much fun working in these places and had so many crazy, like, adventures and incidents, and things go right and things go really wrong. So I thought, I'm gonna, like, bring people along for the ride with some of this stuff. And because when you are working, I've been working with, you know, clients in Singapore and Indonesia for 12 years now. So I know I have some good info. I have some good intel on, like, what I like to do there. And if you are going, like, I have a pretty good list.
Okay, that's awesome. So it begs the question, if you were going someplace not for work, where would you go?
Oh gosh. Probably the Californian in me loves Mexico. We go to Mexico a lot. Um, there's a hotel that I was just at recently that we try and get to at least once a year called Hacienda San Antonio. And it's an 18th century coffee plantation that's a hotel. And it's aesthetically one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And it just, the whole vibe of it is so me. My family, we're cattle ranchers from Northern California, so I love to be able to get on a horse and be out in the country, and, so that really, like, ticks all those boxes. I love Mexico City in Mexico also. Um, we go to Scandinavia a lot. Um, we go to, like, Sweden and Denmark. That's a summer favorite of mine. which isn't necessarily like the norm because most people like to be in warmer water and the temps go above 75. But to me, I love that. I love I don't mind having to put on like a sweater and go to the beach in July. But I also love the whole like aesthetic of Scandinavia, the food, the furniture, the design. So that's always very satisfying for me too.
Well, I think we need a full travelogue. This book is just a great like dip into all the places that you've traveled and all the places where you've done incredible work. Um, the other thing that you talk about, I mentioned that you kind of go into the highs and lows of all of these projects. And I was wondering, and by that I mean like you're highlighting some of the issues in layouts or budgets or the real life constraints that are happening in design and in these projects. I'm wondering, do you think that you thrive in those kind of environments? And is there any challenge that really sticks out of you when you think of like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get out of this one? And then you hit it out of the park.
God, it's just, I always say to people that are starting with me in the office that I just need to remind you that basically decorators were just problem solvers. That's all that it comes down to. Like, no matter how on top of your game you are, and we're on our game here. I have an amazing team. It's just the nature of the business because you cannot prevent human error. And if you look at one piece of furniture, like a sofa, and you look at the process from the shopping for the fabric to ordering the fabric to the fabric being delivered to then the sofa being made and then the trim arriving and then all the things. And then it has to be delivered and then how many hands touch this one thing? And then you times that by a gazillion in a big old house. Things are going to happen. Things are going to happen. So my whole motto, whatever you want to call it, is don't flip out and solve the problem. You know what I mean? And this is how I feel about vendors that we work with. I detest when it's like people are scrambling to find the blame. Who's at fault? Who's gonna fall on the sword for this? Because if it's my fault, the first thing I'm gonna say is, oh my God, you guys, I'm such an idiot. I ordered the wrong fabric or whatever it is, or they cut the wrong fabric or whatever it is. Okay, that's figured out. Great. Ultimately, who cares? Because the bigger question is, how do we fix it? And how quickly can we fix it? Because I need this piece in 2 weeks. So if you stand by me and you fix it, and, obviously, if there's costs involved, that part you figure out or you split it or whatever it is, I will work with you forever because we're in this together. We're all this will happen again, and not because somebody's being, somebody slipped up or it's just stuff happens. So I am not a screamer. I mean, it makes me laugh even because I know I have a lot of stories of hearing decorators that are lunatics that scream at people. And not me, not my vibe. I just want to fix it. So, that's a huge part of what we do is having the skill set to jump in and problem solve. So without that, I don't think you can really excel in this world because, like I said, it's kind of inevitable.
Yeah, no, that's really great life advice too.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to keep moving.
Yeah.
It's like recognize what's going on and keep moving. I think my team knows that the bigger the smile, the bigger the problem. I'm like, okay, let's fix it. Let's keep moving.
Yes, I know. It's just not, it's also not worth it. It's not worth it. I am not a stress prone person. There are bigger fish to fry, in the scheme of things. So let's just keep rolling,
Well, thank you for your honesty in the book. It made for a really, really great
How
read.
do your clients deal with that? Speaking on the other side. So I know it sounds, from your side, something gets messed up in office. You chill it, cool, let's fix.
Mhm.
But how do you work with your client to make that work too? Same? Tell them to shh,
To be perfectly honest with you, most of the
even
time
know.
they don't even
That's when
know.
you're doing your best work.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's that's
Yeah.
our job. Like they are hiring us to facilitate this entire process. So I am not going to come to them unless there has been such a delay with something, and I'm not even going to get into it with them. I'm not going to tell them like someone ordered the wrong fabric or somebody did XYZ because again, like that's my job is to like diffuse all of this stuff. If it's a situation where then okay, said item is not going to be in the install when we install their house, they move in. I just explained to them there was a huge problem. We have fixed it, and that piece will come in 2 weeks after you move in. You know what I mean? And if it's something that's like an important piece, like a nightstand, before I even tell them, we've like bought something from IKEA and we put it next to their bed and so there's something, you know what I mean? Like we're never going to just leave an empty spot. And I buy it myself and you know what I mean? So it's like I'm not charging them for that. It's like this was on us or on somebody else. So we do everything in our power to keep them out of it.
So you start this book by taking a tour of your own home,
Yeah.
and you have the most warm and loving living room that is in a beautiful pink.
Yes, I finally got a pink. I always wanted a pink living room, and I
You
finally
know,
did a pink living room.
everybody looks good in pink.
They do, and that I think it's calamine pink by Fair and Ball is at least in the California light because I know things look different everywhere. It's just perfect. I really love it.
It is such a great room. Um, and I just want to kind of double back on like some of the things that you mentioned in the book. Like you're even honest about like, you know what? I put the wrong drapery
Oh
panels in
yeah,
there.
I did.
But the drapery panels that you have in there now are absolutely perfect.
See, they needed there. I knew it. I as a decorator, people always ask, like, is it like the shoemaker's children with your own homes? And it's kind of the opposite for me. Like I make decisions too quickly sometimes because I just am such a machine and I just like go, go, go. And I trust my instincts. But sometimes I make a mistake because I didn't think it out with a client. I'm never that fast. I will I'm like, okay, wait a second. Let me think about this for a second. Let me look at this. And then I marinate and then I come back. I'm like, yes, let's da da da. Myself, I'm like, okay, this, and that. And that's what happened in the living room. And what didn't have enough like weight to it. And we made them, put them up, everything. And I was like, and the second they went, I was like, okay, I made a mistake. But nothing goes to waste. Those are in the guest room. They're fine. They look great.
You know, but I really appreciate you sharing that. And like, it really does feel like your home is the designer's laboratory. So,
Always. Yeah.
so I'm wondering what is going on in your house right now? What's bringing you joy? What are you experimenting with in your own home?
Well, right now I'm kind of all about outside. I've was just this morning drove down from Ojai. We kind of live between LA and Ojai, California. And we are having an unusually hot spring. It's been in the 80s and 90s. So everything's just like bursting very, very early. Like we have some orange trees and grapefruit trees, so all the orange blossoms are out, and it's my favorite thing that's my favorite scent, period, is orange blossom. It's just like, I can't get enough. So, I've been spending a lot of time outside. We have a really great outdoor kitchen in Ojai. So, I've been kind of fussing out there with the garden and, like, changing some stuff, and really unglamorous stuff like power washing our swimming pool, and yes, I do it myself. So I've been like very outdoor focused.
Yeah, I think most everybody is right now. I know I spent the entire weekend outside just trying to make everything in that extra space that we have just so wonderful, and it expands your home and expands your life to be able to have something outside.
I mean, it's like my favorite part. It's like I actually love the decorating process when you get to outdoor spaces, because I always tell people to, like, you have to treat them like rooms. You have to, like, create different sitting areas for different activities, like make sure you have shade, accessorize through like potted plants and trees and found cool like elements. We totally live outdoors. And when we put in our outdoor kitchen, I was like, I want an outdoor kitchen. I don't want like a barbecue. I have a range with like an oven and a gas stove top, and like I am like cooking, and my friends call me grandma because I'll do like I just put up a huge batch of orange marmalade, and like I do
Homemade. I love
canning.
it.
I can to yeah. Oh my
I
God,
love
yeah.
it.
I do canned tomatoes in the fall. Like I am like an old grandma.
I love that.
That
Ugh.
is so
And
fantastic.
how you
Yeah.
have more.
That's kind of
Yeah.
the magic of California living.
That's amazing. And this home that you're speaking about, the Ojai one, is also in the book, correct?
Mhm. I kind of bookended.
Mhm.
I started with our home in LA and I ended
Mhm.
with our home in Ojai, and then all in between are like
Well, you have such a
plants.
what looks like a rambling outdoor space with different levels and walkways, and so I can see why you live
Yeah.
out there. And it does, like you just said, it feels like you found pieces along the way, and you have some bamboo and some stone and some beautiful teak pieces out there too. It looks so lush.
Yeah, it's really important to mix. And I think people
Mhm.
get in because most outdoor furniture comes in kind
Mhm.
of sets, that I think people get locked into that. And it's okay. It's actually not okay. It's like more than okay. And you should mix it
Mhm.
to make it interesting. You know what I mean? And even if you buy a set, then break it up and put the sofa in one area and take the pair of chairs and put them in the front yard or somewhere else. So you get this kind of, you know, layered, nuanced look that feels a little bit more intentional and more like your interiors than just like plopping it. Yeah, and it's the same with the sets come with the same fabric. And I'm like, no, mix it
Mhm.
up. Like do it the same way you would inside.
Well, I wanted to ask about your outdoor space because um, I get in theory how we decorate outdoors
Hmm.
with the same accessories and, kind of like a room. But it's a totally different language in the sense that I know the language of sort of accessorizing my indoor space. I got books and I've got
Hmm.
pottery and I've got extra pillows and like there's more, I guess, items to play with.
For
So
sure.
what are some outdoor accessories that maybe we haven't thought of? I mean, obviously there's plants and containers, and outdoor pillows, but like is there anything that you like to play with outside that maybe, us
Yeah. I mean,
novices wouldn't have thought about?
I think that like thinking outside the box a little bit with materials. Like I use a lot of like it's so like I said, it's really important to mix materials. So if I have like a wood sofa, then you can see like on one of my sofas, I have a stone top table. And it's like, okay, I don't want wood there. And then I have a super upholstered one, and I'd be like, okay, I'll put a wood table there. So think about that balance. But accessories in that same area, we have a big stone that we brought in, and it's just like a big stone, but there's a sofa and there's a coffee table, and then you see this big stone. And what isn't pictured is when we have guests, I take an old horse blanket and I fold it in half and I put it on top of the stone, and it serves as a seat, like a cocktail seat or whatever. So I've done that with like I even have this inside. Like I have two tree stumps from our ranch that I have had since I moved to LA when I was like 23 years old as like a weird like touchstone back to home. And I have that as a side table in my living room. But like things like that, I have like pulled over on the side of the road because I've seen like a big giant like eucalyptus, like this big, like sliced from someone taking down a tree. And I'm like, can I take this? And it's a coffee table. So like I try to it doesn't have to be anything precious, or it could just be like strange things like that that you kind of implement And I think being outdoors, you have a little bit more freedom to where it doesn't have to be so perfect.
Okay, I love that idea of salvaging natural items. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, no, it looks good,
Yeah.
and it's like, a lot of times they're free.
Trash
Yeah.
to treasures.
Exactly.
And you can always, make up some fun story about how it came out of the yard or, like, come
Uh-huh.
up with
I cut this down. Yeah.
With my own two hands.
Uh-huh.
I love your sweet little orange guest room you guys have in Ojai too. Uh,
Oh, thank you. That was, for nieces and nephews, and, we have another guest room that has a normal-sized bed, but I loved that kind of leaning into that old-fashioned again, like, I definitely grandma's a theme with me, like, twin beds with, like, those grandma chenille bed covers. It reminds me of, like, being a little kid at the ranch when at my grandparents or whatever, and, so my niece and nephews are my nephews are like football bros that are these giant guys now, so it's like, we've switched the twin beds out since because they're like, "Oh, we don't fit in here anymore." But for a long time, they loved it. It was really fun.
Yeah, you use your
mhm.
orange, patterned wallpaper on here, and I'd love to hear about your wallpaper and fabric collection because I was doing a little, um, shopping and ordering some samples of your fabrics because
Oh, I love
I
that.
love I love that one behind you on the wall of the wainscoting.
Oh,
They're so
thanks.
beautiful. Tell
Thank
us
you.
about the collection and how that sort of started and where you get your inspiration for patterns.
Gosh, I love textiles, always have. When I'm decorating, when I start a new project, a new room, it's where I always start. It's funny, some people start with a carpet or color. I always start with my fabric scheme. Um, just probably because I love it. I love putting textiles together. So I knew I always wanted to do a fabric collection, and, um, all when we really dove into it, Um, I had done wallpaper first, and then when we dove into the fabric line, all the inspiration came from my childhood and all my California, like, touchstones, like, growing up, on the ranch and the things that were and are around me that, like, permeated my memories. So, like, this one is called Theodora and behind me in the office here, and, I knew I wanted to do some kind of floral chintzes because my I knew both my great-grandmothers, but my great-grandmother at the ranch was, English and had a very English sensibility to her, and she had, um, this chintz bedroom, and it's one of my earliest design memories, and, I it was so pretty, and it smelled good, and you're on this kind of working cattle ranch, so I don't need to tell you what it smells like most of the places there. Um, and then there was just this little, like, beautiful oasis, and, so I think that's kind of where my, like, Anglo-American aesthetic comes from, definitely from her, and I love how she would, like, reupholster something. Maybe everything was, like, originally chintzed out, and then the chair was worn, and so she reupholstered it in, like, a lilac velvet, and things just start or just the cushion, and things just started to, like, take on a different layered look, and I think that's, like, really ingrained in me. So, yeah, like, that was a big one. It's so funny because I have a sample sitting right here from a job. This is one of my favorites. It's called Heaton, and we have wild blackberries, and so much of my childhood, I would walk from one family to member to another, and I walked to my grandfather's sister's house, and along the way, there were blackberry bushes, and I would just, like, buy a blackberry, shoving them in my mouth, and show up purple, and go to her house, and we'd make something, a cobbler or a pie or whatever, and when I started playing around with the designs, it all felt a little, like, kitschy, like, kitchen-y, and then I saw an image of a flowering blackberry, and I was like, "Oh, that's it, so let's turn it into a floral," and I have oak leaves and acorns and a California quail because in 3rd grade, I had a project where I raised California quail from eggs in an incubator and then release them out onto the ranch. So everything's super personal and has like some kind of, guttural memory or experience. Probably my favorite though is I love toile, and my childhood bedroom, which still exists, is a green traditional toile all over. And when we started digging into like the idea of a toile, we did a cowboy toile. And instead of like fancy French people, it's like a cowboy and a rattlesnake and a lady with a prairie skirt and a ranch dog. And it's super fun and charming. And, I had such a good time doing it because I pulled from so many personal things.
I really hope you put that cowboy toile in a little boy's room in some client's house because it is so fun.
It's
It's, like,
really fun,
pretty
isn't it?
enough to be, I don't know, in any room, but how fun for a kid's room.
I recently did the pink and brown version in a bar in Santa Barbara that I decorated, and it's really fun. And it actually goes really feminine, like, especially with the pink and brown. We did, like, pink velvet sofas and, it's surprisingly, kind of versatile. So it's fun watching. I'm having so much fun watching people use these things because it can have started out with such a, like, strong point of view from me. Like, I have one called North Star Blanket that is based on old horse blankets, and, I sent some stuff to my pal India Hicks in the Bahamas, and she did her son Conrad's room in a version of that, and it looks like the chic David Hicks bedroom. It's like she took the one in blue and put it all over the place, and I'm like, I love how this thing that kind of, to me, looks like barbed wire, and then she took it and used it in a completely different way, and it doesn't look Western at all. It looks very at home in the tropics. So that part's been really fun.
And I love that it's you can buy it on Wall Shop, and so anyone can order it, which is really fun because without a trade account.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you can obviously can get it from, we have showrooms, with James and Ainsworth Noah in Atlanta and my own showroom in Los Angeles, but it's nice for people to be able to get it if they're not working with the decorator.
Well, they're beautiful. There were so many of them, and I was like, "Oh, I need to order a sample of this." Yeah,
Thank you, thank you.
yeah. And I love the way you layer patterns in your spaces. That pink living room at your house, there's so many different patterns in that space, but there's something about they're all very much in the same vein and color palette, and,
Mhm.
like, there's a similar tempo to them. I was wondering, just maybe talk about how you layer patterns and how you think about it. Kinda, is there a point at which it gets too much, and how do you know you're there? And then is there a point where you're like, "Oh, it needs more?" And, like, what are some of those questions you're asking yourself?
I love pattern on pattern. It's my favorite. Um, and it's surprising how many patterns you can get into one room. And for me, the key is staying in the same color palette. You've gotta stick with the same color palette with patterns. Otherwise, in my opinion, it looks cuckoo. It just is too, um, discombobulated. But you can throw in so many patterns if you stick to the same colors. I also really think you need to balance out the scale of the pattern. So, like this one behind me has a lot of negative space in it, and then on the sofa it's denser. And at a glance, it kind of looks more like a solid color, but there's a pattern on it. So then it doesn't fight with that size. And then I think there's kind of like a great balance with types of patterns. So I'm not going to bring in another large floral into this room, but I'll bring in like a ditzy floral, something with like little tiny flowers on it. And then I'll be like, okay, I'm done with florals. And then, oh, but I have another chair. So let's put in a stripe. And I'll add a stripe to that, all same colors. And then, oh, I have a pair of ottomans though that I want to put in front of the fireplace. I've done a stripe, I've done two florals. how about a geometric? A geometric would work. And then, okay, now I need pillows. I love an animal print, like I just keep like playing with types of patterns and scale of patterns and then keep it all in the same colorway and like go for it.
That is great advice.
I always feel like that's something that us novices don't, are maybe too afraid, too intimidated to mix patterns. And that's really what creates that warmth and, coziness. When you look at designers' spaces, there are a lot of things, but to me, it's really that layering of pattern that makes it feel real and like a home. And
elevated at the same time.
yeah,
Mhm.
and
It's a
personal.
little collected and layered. And I think also that it's not something we see out in the world, like in the retail world a lot. So it's harder for people to walk into a retail environment and look, and there's usually like a solid sofa and everything's typical. And I understand it because they're trying to sell a piece of furniture and like let people use their own imagination. But sometimes people need the assistance with it too. So I think it's harder, to your point of like um diving into the whole mixing pattern situation. But thank God for Pinterest and Instagram, and you get to see it through, us crazy decorators.
Well, and come on over to Ballard. I mean,
That's true.
Yeah.
we've got all the patterns, and
I know, as I was
and we're
saying that, I was
we're
like,
trying
you
to mix
guys
that.
have a lot of pattern, which is so great.
Yeah. You can get a neutral sofa, but you can also get one in animal print. Why
Which
not?
is so great. It's like, be adventurous. Do a
Right?
striped sofa, an animal print sofa. People get so afraid and they just assume they have to do a solid sofa. And I'm like, it's actually really boring. And it's like, if you love the print or you love the color, you're not going to get tired of it. You aren't. You know what I mean? If you really love something, then go for it. That's my biggest piece of advice.
And most of the time, patterns are much more forgiving than solids. This is something I certainly am learning with 2 kids,
Yeah.
The pattern pieces that I have, are, you know, much less likely to show imperfection.
Always, always. You
Yeah.
know what you're not gonna see a little drip of grape juice on is Cowboy 12.
That's
It's
true.
really busy. You know what I mean?
Facts. Yeah.
So it's a really good point, you know?
Well, it's a gorgeous book. Like Liz said, it's fun to see all of your favorite travel spots and your highs and lows and just the breadth of different client spaces. I mean, Colorado to Singapore, India, California, New York, like each of them are so different and you kind of get transported to that locale via your design work.
I'm so glad to hear that because that's what I wanted to do. It's fine. It's great to like, show some pretty interiors and stuff, but I just did want to try and bring people along for the ride a little bit because it is unique to work in places like this. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, thanks for inviting us on the journey. This was really a fun read and really excellent work. It's really
Thank
so
you.
beautiful.
And I love your writing.
Oh, thanks. I am, it's the Californian in me. I'm not a formal person. I am, I joke sometimes I can sound like a 13-year-old girl from the valley. Like, I, you know, I don't take I obviously take my job seriously, but at the same time, I don't take it seriously either. You know what I mean? In the sense of like, um, I love what I do, hence I love decorating. I love that I get to do it in cool places and with such interesting people. So, you know, always I always keep that at the forefront of my mind to like have fun with it and not take it too seriously.
Well, the joy is totally showing through.
Good.
Amazing. So can you tell everyone where they can follow you, find the book, find your
Yeah.
stores?
If you're in LA, definitely please come. I have a fairly not even a year old, back in the shop game on La Cienega Boulevard, where we have the whole California collection. And I'm back into antiques and vintage, which is really fun to be back into being a shopkeeper. You can find me on Instagram at nturner design. And the book is available April 14th, but it's pre-order now on Amazon and all book retailers and in my shop. If you want a signed copy, call the shop and we'll send you one.
Yeah, it's a must-have.
It really
Thank
is.
you. Thank
So
you so
beautiful.
much.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Guys, this was really fun. I could talk to y'all for hours.
We are a
Such
good
treat.
time.
I'm seriously going to check out on Wall Shop and
Mhm.
order some of these. I have been looking for a great fabric for this little bergère chair, and I haven't found anything
Well, he
I
was
like.
just saying he
so-
was in.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
let
he
us
was
know.
in town because he's put his fabrics in Ainsworth Noah. So you can go see him.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
perfect.
That's true. Yes.
I have a
Yeah.
friend who works at Ainsworth Noah, so I'll have to ask her about it.
Mhm. And
Okay,
tell her
good.
that not to
I'll
talk
stop by
any
and visit
crap.
her.
That you. Okay.
No, I'm going to be like, I just met Nathan Turner.
And he
Yeah.
told me
Best.
I had to come see you.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God, I got the whole scoop. Jeez.
Beautiful. They're beautiful.
All right. Well, that's our show.
And that's our show. You can find all of the show notes on our blog, howtodecorate.com/podcast.
To send in a decorating dilemma, email your questions to podcast@ballarddesigns.net so we can help you with your space.
And of course, be sure to follow us on social media at Ballard Designs.
Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. And please leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Until next time, happy
Happy
decorating.
decorating.